Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Let's Play Hockey podcast brought to you by the Let's Play Hockey Expo. The Let's Play Hockey Expo is the largest consumer hockey show in the land, and it is back and better than ever for 2022. The Expo is going to be held March 11th and 12th at the St. Paul River Center, coinciding, of course, with the Boys State High School Hockey Tournament. The Expo is sponsored this year by the Minnesota Wild and by True Hockey. So mark your calendars, hockey fans, and head downtown for the latest and greatest in the hockey industry, great atmosphere, apparel, interactives, celebrities, and much more from some of the top brands in the game of hockey. That's March 11th and 12th at the Let's Play Hockey Expo. It's a show that you surely do not want to miss. This is episode 3 of the Let's Play Hockey podcast, and this week we're going to take you down memory lane for a conversation with the prodigal son who has returned home, only now he's the head of a girls' varsity program at the very same high school where he once starred. He became a prep legend, and with that, we're going to welcome Ryan Kraft, former Golden Gopher by way of Moorhead, Minnesota, now the current head coach of the girls program at Moorhead High School. Ryan, my friend, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Tim.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. It's been a while.
It's been a day or two, hasn't it?
It has been, but it's always, like you said, memory lane, right?
Yeah, well, let's talk about that because you were the prep phenom from Moorhead, and I was the budding sports reporter at KARE 11 at the time, and I was doing a show called the Gopher Sports Extra. So I got to spend a lot of time over at the rink covering you guys. And when I thought it was said, hey, do you want to talk to Ryan Kraft? What Gopher game do you think came into my mind like instantly right away?
Oh, God. There were so many. Maybe the Wisconsin game where we clinched the WCHA championship.
I wish. Unfortunately, it was that bleeping sectional final against Michigan and Mike Legg picking up that puck and throw. Right.
How could you forget that, right?
You know why? Because that Michigan team was so loaded. And I don't think we knew at the time, but they ended up with like 9 guys, I think, went on to the NHL from that team. And you guys took them to the absolute shed in the first period. You're buzzing them shot after shot after shot and no goals. You're just up 2-1 and I'm up there sweating it because I'm going, God, they have so owned this game. They should be up like 5 or 6-1. Then Legg picks up that puck and throws it over to Buss's shoulder and it's 2-2. And I'm like, oh, what were you guys saying at the time?
Go back to even when you talked about that first period. I mean, Marty Turco was their goalie, and how many years did he spend in the NHL? It was
right.
It was almost like shooting at a brick wall at times. They're just.
You guys put like 20-some shots on goal in the first period.
Yep, probably our best period of the season, and we got nothing to show for it. I think we ended up scoring too early in the second on a couple, just bad goals, off shin pads, off skate blades, just uncharacteristic of Marty to let some of those in. But we had full control of the game halfway through. They got a power play, and then Mike Legg kind of stole the show with that unbelievable move.
Unbelievable. Yeah, I hate to bring it and start the conversation like that, but I mean, honestly, that was that whole era. You had those great teams, and they just sort of went unrewarded.
Win or lose, it's a great memory, Tim.
You know what? And you had a few of them. You were recruited by Doug Woog. So let's just talk about that. How was, if you could just put it in a capsule for me, how was your experience of selecting the University of Minnesota and playing hockey and getting education at the U of M?
You want me to start from the recruiting process and go that route?
Just so you could put it in a capsule for us. Did you make the right choice? Did you go to the right place? Was that the right fit for you, the experience you had?
Obviously, everybody has hindsight, but I'm very, very comfortable with the decision I made. I have a beautiful wife. I have 4 unbelievable kids. I got a degree. I got to play for the Gophers. I mean, there's so many positives that you can name one after another. But, I actually grew up a Sioux fan. Moorhead is 75 miles from Grand Forks, and that's where my dad went to school. So I grew up watching the Hercus Circus and Gino Gasparini and his crew win seemingly like national championship after national championship back then. But, I got to high school and the Gophers were on Midwest Sports Channel every Friday and Saturday night, and I started watching, and I was able to come down to a couple games my sophomore and junior year, and then playing that model hockey camp in the summertime, which was obviously the best hockey players in Minnesota in the junior and senior classes, and I just kind of got talking to some of the coaches, and I built a really good relationship with Mark Mazzolini, who was one of Doug's assistant coaches, and then obviously I met Billy Butters, who he's a phenomenal human being. So it just I don't know what it was. I got to go to a visit my senior year down at Minnesota, and I just kind of fell in love with the campus and the nightlife and just the whole area was just overwhelming for a kid from a small town up north. So yeah, I definitely made the right choice in my mind. And had I made a different choice, I may have won a national championship, but I wouldn't have all the memories and friends that I do now. And those are obviously, as you get older, you realize those are the most important things in life.
Well, and it wasn't like you played on a bad team. I mean, you guys were always a bounce away or something. You had some very, very good teams there. So of course we lost to Wooger a couple of years ago. If I can bring up to ask you for like a memory or something that comes to mind when you think of Doug.
Well, I just remember how much he cared about his players. You always knew that, whether he was intense or trying to coach you up or screaming and yelling at you. You always knew in the back of your mind that he did care about you as a human being, and he wanted the best for you. He wanted you to graduate, and he wanted you to have the best experience possible at Minnesota. So to see him go and to lose somebody like him was certainly a sad day.
Indeed. All right, let's take us back. You're still sporting the colors there of Moorhead. Take us back to your prep days. How much fun did you have? Because you were the guy. You were that guy that us down in the cities, we kept reading about and hearing about. We all wanted to come down to the tournament so we could see you. How much fun was it, that experience for you playing at Moorhead?
Well, I was very fortunate to play with a lot of really good hockey players. I played for Terry Cullen, who is, he's probably one of the best high school coaches in the history of Minnesota high school hockey. And, to learn from that and to have that environment every day in practice, we'd go play games, and games were easy because we beat the crap out of each other every day in practice. So I guess I'd like to start there and just, name a few of those players.
Throw some names at us.
Jeremy Gregoire was our goalie. Robbie Grammer, Joel Jameson, Rory Corton were a few of our defensemen. Pete Cullen was another one. On the blue line, we had, I played with a guy like Rhett Marsden, who was a senior when I was a sophomore. Got to play with Jason Blake for a year. He was a senior when I was a sophomore.
He was a beauty.
Yeah, and then obviously, the name Matt Cullen, it doesn't hurt to have him on your team either. So I got to play in a line with John Haberlack, who played at Air Force, Josh Arnold, who played at Duluth. And then, we filled out our second line with Matt, with Ryan Frisch on the right wing, who went to St. Cloud State with him, and Troy Bagney, who went to Notre Dame. So, we had a really, really fun time. It was a competitive time. At times it was a very stressful time, but looking back, it was the funnest experience I had playing hockey, bar none.
Did you guys win state?
We finished my 3 years. We finished second, third, second.
Oh my gosh! Yeah,
those were the Bloomington Jefferson days.
And you were playing with a couple of those guys at the U, so I imagine that came up once in a while.
Pretty much every day, they reminded me.
Oh, it's beautiful. You were a guy who obviously you had a burst, to your game. You were a good skater, and you had that. Watching the NHL now and how the game has changed or perhaps evolved, do you watch it today and think, man, if only I was playing there today? Because it seems like smaller guys, no offense, seem like have a greater chance of making it today now than they did back in your days. Like you and a Bond, and I'm not sure Brian was the skater that you were, but a great finisher and not a big guy, and you guys got bounced a lot.
Well, I mean, you could say that till you're blue in the face, right? I wish this, I wish that, but at the end of the day, I'm very proud of the career that I had. It certainly was a bigger player's game, a clutching, grabbing, interference type game back when I came through, and it's much more of a skating, finesse, skill game now, and it's so fun to watch. Those guys are so talented, they're so good, and they do everything that they do at a very, very high speed. So it's certainly a much better product today than it was 20 years ago, and that's kind of where I'll leave that. I mean, I don't have any regrets. I gave it my best shot. And at the end of the day, it is what it is. Life goes on, and I certainly wish I could have had more time in the NHL, but I didn't. And I know when I look in the mirror that I gave it my best shot.
Well, you did, because you spent more than a decade playing the game at various levels. What does that say about your love of the game and your pursuit and the grind that you went through trying to make that happen?
Well, I, I feel like I'm the proverbial rink rat. I love being there. It's my second home. I currently am a skating and skills instructor. That's what I do for my full-time job. So when I'm not at home, I am at the rink, and that's just where I love to be. It's my sanctuary. It's my home. It's where I feel most comfortable. I love talking hockey. I love helping kids get better. I love helping them, find their deficiencies and make improvements in those areas. So I just know that I'm very passionate about the game, and whatever I can do to help this next generation that's coming up improve in their own game, and here now at Moorhead in a team setting. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, I want to get to that, but I want to also point out you played in places, hockey hotbeds, like Richmond, Virginia. You were in Kentucky, Ohio, Connecticut. You spent the largest portion of your minor league career, actually, though, playing in Kassel, Germany. Tell us about that.
Well, second to Moorhead, that was the second funnest 5 years of my hockey career. I mean, what an experience. So I ended up getting what I thought was a career-ending injury my last year in Bridgeport, which was the 2004-2005 season. I blew up my ankle. I had to have pretty much a total reconstructive surgery on my ankle. And I didn't think I was ever going to play again. Kassel took a chance on me. I was able to continue my rehab over there at the beginning of the season, hopped on the ice about a month and a half into the year. And over there they start earlier. So, by mid-October, I was back in the lineup and going full bore. So it was just what an experience, though. I mean, my first 3 months over there, I remember telling myself pretty much every day when I woke up, what did I get myself into? Can I go home yet? But I don't know. It's almost like you wake up one day and it's like, this is pretty cool. I'm in Germany playing hockey. What an experience. So I feel very blessed that I had that opportunity. And I'm certainly even more thankful that I was able to stay in the same place, the same house, drove the same car for 5 years. I mean, it was my second home for those 5 years. And to be able to bring my family over there was certainly even more special. And then my son, my 14-year-old son, who's now a Bantam, was actually born in Germany. So he has that to always fall back on. If the NHL doesn't work out for him, maybe he can go to play over in Germany. So
very nice. And you said now 4 kids?
We have 4 kids. Yep.
Wow.
Our oldest Kayla will be graduating, and then there's 3 boys.
And so let's just talk about the opportunity to be where you are now, because if I read your bio right, and I just want to tell you that I wondered if you weren't in the witness protection program, because finding background information on you, not easy. Moorhead doesn't have anything up there. Your Wikipedia is pretty lean. So
well, call me anytime.
Well, now that we've established a relationship, you may be careful what you wish for. You had a job as an assistant with the Minnesota Magicians of the North American Hockey League. Is that accurate?
I came back from playing, and I kind of took a year off. There were some concussion issues, and I didn't want to dive back into hockey for a little bit, but I wanted to make sure I was healthy. And that first year passed where I started to get bored. I started to get the itch to get back at the rink again, and I actually took a volunteer position with Hastings girls hockey. A guy there, his name is Jeff Korkish, became a really good friend of mine, and he was the head coach at the time. Invited me over for a couple practices a week and to come help him, watch the games and be the eyes in the skies type of guy. Let him know what I see between periods. And then I took the assistant coaching position with Trent Eigner at Lakeville North. I was there for 2 seasons, and then the Minnesota Magicians job became available, and I jumped at that. That actually turned out to be something that I didn't think it was going to be. It wasn't a good fit for me. And I kind of took a step back. I got really involved at that point with all my skating and skill stuff. I dove into that pretty
In
much head
Moorhead, or where
first.
were you doing your
I,
skating and skills?
I was down in the city still.
You were okay.
So my wife and I, the year before I retired, we bought a house in Lakeville. So before moving back to Moorhead, we were in Lakeville for 10 years. So I was able to access those rinks down there, rent ice from them, and then, go out and find kids that wanted to get on the ice and wanted to get better. So it was, took a little bit of a hiatus from coaching, applied for a few other head coaching positions, a couple times at Lakeville South, one more time at Lakeville North. They obviously went a different direction, but everything happens for a reason. And when the Moorhead job became available, I made a few phone calls and tried to figure out if I could get my on ice skating and skill stuff to work in the Fargo Moorhead area. And the rest is kind of history.
Well, that's where we were going with the next question was going to be, how did that all happen? So is it something that you found out about, you make a few phone calls, your reaction when you find out you're offered the job? I mean, I imagine there's a discussion with your wife, because you've got your wife and your children and all the rest of this, but you're going home. I called you the prodigal son coming in. I mean, to me, it would seem like your insides must be going, I want that.
Well, I wouldn't have even reached out to Dean Haugo, who is our athletic director here at Moorhead, if it wasn't Moorhead. I mean, we were pretty locked in down in Lakeville. We had established a really good relationship with the community and the people in the community, but this was Moorhead. This was a chance to go home. And, we had been looking at houses off and on for the last 10 years just to see what was available. And we always knew in the back of our mind that it was a possibility. And this girl's job was just an excuse. So I called Dean and said, I'm interested. What do you need? He said, send me your resume. Let me know when you can make it up here. I came up for an interview, and actually we weren't even an hour into the drive home, and Dean called and he just said, you know what, when it's a good fit, it's time to say, let's do this. And he offered me the job on the spot. So obviously there were more conversations that needed to happen with my wife, with her family, with our kids. But at the end of the day, we just decided that it was time for a change, and we took a leap of faith and came home.
4 years now on the job?
This is my third year.
Third year. Okay.
Third
and so the move and the transition and all the rest of it, it's been everything you hoped it would be?
It's been busy, but it's, other than that, it's been, it's been a great welcome home. It really has. I feel like I'm right back in high school again, because all my high school teammates are here. They're families now. So I think the most enjoyable part for me, aside from coaching the girls, is getting to know my friends' kids and watching them grow up at the same time. So it's a pretty special environment here. I really truly believe that we have something special here in Moorhead, and it's unique, and it's hard to understand unless you're actually part of it.
I saw a feature on Moorhead Hockey, and I believe it was on the Wilds production of State of Hockey. And they put some cameras up there, and they showed kind of the structure and the drills and all the rest of it. And I watched that for about 5 minutes, and I said, well, no wonder they win so many games. It seemed like it's a very well run, very inclusive program. Am I on the right track?
Yeah, we just try to keep the kids moving and engaged the entire practice. That's the goal. So yeah, we spend a lot of time structuring practices, helping coaches build good practice plans, and just, make sure that it's a good experience for every kid that steps on the ice.
So let's talk about coaching girls versus coaching boys. I'm a father of two, both girls, and they did as much athletics as I could get them to do. Neither one of them really ever, it was never really their thing. They liked it, but they had interests elsewhere. So you obviously grow up, you're a guy, you're playing with guys, all the rest of it. You had the experience at Hastings. Tell me about coaching girls.
Well, it's really not that different. They want to be treated like hockey players, and they don't shy away from coaching. They want the information, they want the feedback. There's some would say that when you coach a boy, they give you the look like, I don't need to listen to you. I already know that. A girl is, their eye contact, they're constantly engaged in what you're saying, and it's just been a lot of fun. Honestly, I can't think of a better word to describe it, because it's something that I love. It's something I know they love, and there is a there's a demand for most of the, the upper echelon player here to have somebody that believes in them, somebody that wants them to go beyond high school, somebody that wants to have that experience where I don't know that it was here before I got here. So again, I am very, very lucky to be here and to have this opportunity to coach tremendous kids in a very, very unique environment.
I looked at the picture of the varsity. I'm sure the junior varsity girls were in the same picture, and there appeared to be 28 or so girls, in that. Looks very healthy to me. And so, how would you describe the state of the program?
I think we're in a really good spot. I really do. There were a few girls that ended up not coming out this year, which kind of concerned me a little bit. I don't ever like to see anybody quit the game because it is an outlet. It is something that you're able to be a part of during the winter months in Minnesota, and we all know how ungodly cold it can get, especially up here with the wind the way that it blows. But I think that we have a bunch of girls now that are committed to being the best that they can be. They come to work every day. They never shy away from a challenge. They are constantly asking questions and grasping for new systems and new information. How can I get better? What do I need to do to get in the lineup? So at times it's exhausting because they are so hungry for that success. But I wouldn't have it any other way. I'd rather have it this way than the other way. So I think it's been a welcome change, and I based on the people that I have talked to, it has been a good change, because where the program was before, it was in a very stagnant state, and it was just kind of one of those sports where it was okay to just show up and have a social hour with your high school friends. And that's something that I wanted to change. I wanted to try to get it to be as similar to the boys program up here as we could, without stepping on too many toes. So the other thing that I know that we've had a tremendous amount of support from our parent group. They seem to be fully supportive of what we're trying to do as a coaching staff. I'm sure there's a few of them that don't like the way we're doing things, but I think for the most part, we're in a really good situation there as well.
So you've got a handful of games left with this season. I mean, in a month from now, you'll be in the mix of postseason play. What are the goals, hopes, expectations for this year's team?
Well, I left that up for the girls. It's their team. It's what they want to do, and we did an exercise probably 2 months ago now where I had them take a sheet of paper home. It had 3 individual goals and 3 team goals. And obviously I did not share the individual goals with the rest of the team, but we took all the team goals, and I made the girls stand up in the middle of the room one by one and say, what are your top 3 team goals? And we wrote them on our dry erase board. And it seemed like every single girl had the same goal. They want to be Section 8 champions and go to a state tournament. So in order to make that happen, I believe that we are in a really, really good spot. We just beat Brainerd the other night, 1-0. We have the best Section 8 record of any Section 8 team. So depending on how our next 4 games go, I think we've put ourselves in a really good position to get that number 1 seed and to put us in a position to have home ice advantage all the way through the Section 8 playoffs, if that does come to fruition. But we just need to keep getting better, and I think that's the staple that has been, the new idea around Spud girls hockey, and it's what we do. We don't just show up anymore. We show up and we get better every day.
At the risk of going too long with this, I just want to ask: have the girls ever stopped and said, "You've been to state? What was it like?" Have they asked you about that experience?
A few of them, and I haven't seen a reason yet to share any of that with them, because I want them to experience it for themselves, because it is such a special place and a special time that I don't want I don't want to pump it up to a point where all of a sudden they get down there and, oh, this is nothing, right? But I don't think that'll happen. It will be very cool when it does happen. If it's this year, that's awesome. If it's next year, great. I do believe it will happen, and it will happen very soon.
I can't wish you anything other than the best of success, continued success going this way. Been great catching up with you. It's so fun. I have very much fond memories of you, and I'm happy to see that you are in a place where you should be. And happy for you that Spud Hockey's got you back, and that you're so passionate about it.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to have me on the show today and talk about Spud Hockey. I love Moorhead, and I love talking hockey, so it's a good fit, and certainly was very nice catching up with you and seeing how good you and your family are doing. So thank you.
I appreciate that. Don't go away. I'm going to take you out of the feed here for a minute, but I do want to talk to you. That, of course, is Ryan Kraft, former Golden Gopher, prep puck legend from Moorhead. He played with a few of them there. Now returned to the Spuds, head coach of the girls varsity program at Moorhead High School. Want to remind you as we wrap this up, the Let's Play Hockey Expo, which is, of course, the largest consumer hockey show in the land, back on once again for 2022. The Expo taking place March 11th and 12th at the St. Paul River Center, which will be coinciding with the boys state high school hockey tournament. The Expo sponsored this year by the Minnesota Wild by True Hockey. So mark your calendars, head downtown for the latest and greatest in the hockey industry, the atmosphere, the apparel, the interactives, celebrities, and much, much more. That's March 11th and 12th at the Let's Play Hockey Expo. It's a show you do not want to miss. As I said earlier, this is, of course, the Let's Play Hockey podcast. My name is Tim McNiff. It's an honor to be here. And until next time, keep your blade sharp, your head up, and for gosh sake, your stick on the ice, and we will see you down the road.